Welcome, dogs. Get your goggles, get your tightest like a tri-suit, put on those compression socks. Why be good at one sport if you can be shit at three? This is the Triathlon Mockery podcast. What is going on, dogs? So Christmas is coming in hot, and that only means one thing. That means very expensive Christmas presents under the tree. You know, it's a new excuse to buy the latest gear and to buy all the shite and hype that you've seen on Instagram from all the fake pros that are trying to lure you into these things. They'll tell you this is necessary to boost that performance to get maybe a Kona qualification slot in 2025. And in this episode, we're going to ask the hard questions. It's called, what is it called again, Joe?
The Interrogation Room.
The Interrogation Room, where we're going to question, is it all needed? Is it all worth it? And basically sharing our opinion on a load of the stuff. But first, matey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. I'm recovering from the weekend, from my new venture. I'm not just a triathlete now, I'm a hybrid athlete. You know, 3 sports just wasn't enough. I just want to take on 8 sports.
Do you? So you're talking about a high rocks, what you did over the weekend, and I think it looks flippin' pumped. I want to do one as well. But how do you? What do you think of it compared to like a triathlon?
What, in like difficulty or just like
in difficulty? So basically, what? So if you were a non-experienced athlete, so not a swimmer, not a biker, not a runner, not a high roxer, what would be more difficult? An Ironman in Hawaii?
Oh, an Ironman would be more difficult. You'd have to compare it to like a sprint tri, wouldn't you, or something But it's I mean, they've both got hard bits and easier bits. Like I'd say a triathlon's more paced. Like it's a lot easier to actually pace yourself for it. Whereas a high rocks, because like for people that don't know, you've got like 8 1K runs and then 8 different strength stations. So you do like a 1K run, then a ski erg, then a run, then you do a sled push, and for instance, and it keeps going. You do 8 different things. But the stations that they've got force you to go into the red. Whereas if you're on the bike in a triathlon, there's not necessarily anything that forces you to go into the red. I mean, you could say a hill, but then you can knock it down in easier gear. But when you're on something like the sled push or something in a high rocks, it's like if you're struggling to push it, you've still got to push it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no way to make it easier. So I would say like in some parts, like a high rocks forces you to go into the red a lot more, especially on stuff like when you got like burpee broad jumps, you have to do like 80 meters of burpees, which is like quite a big distance. Like that's massive, really.
But so I've been picturing myself this. So the effort, right? So you're starting off, you're banging a K. The K is probably what you're running. Is it at threshold or will you say under threshold?
Oh, definitely under threshold. You'd have to be really fit, like at high rocks, to be doing them at threshold.
Do you even like start them off under threshold?
Yeah, I didn't start it off that hard because I knew the stations were going to be my thing. If I was fit, like, and I was good at all the stations, you know, like I could do them all well, then I'd push the runs a bit more. But if you're not very good at the stations, you need to be fit for them, and that's the thing. Like if you're going above threshold on the run, yeah, you might run 5 seconds quicker, but you'll lose that in no time going into one of the stations. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to smash the stations. Like if you go into
are some athletes absolutely hooning the first one?
Yeah, the first run definitely. Yeah, the first run they nail it, but then they're fucked after they get to the sled push. So like yeah, they get a bit of a gap, but then as soon as they get to the sled and they can't push 150 kilos, it's fucking pointless, isn't it? Like I started off, I was in 3rd place on the first run. I think I got in 2nd just before we went into the ski erg, which I actually quite liked because then I had some other guy that was like setting the pace and I could kind of like tee off them, you know, and see how they're pacing it. Yeah. And then I was like, looking at his pace that he was doing on the ski erg, and he started off and he was absolutely ripping it. And I was like, flipping heck, he's going to pull away from me even more on the ski erg. Like, this is good. Like, we're going to be in a proper race here. Like, I was thinking, I'll push the runs a bit harder once we get a couple of stations in and start trying to up it. But he must have slowed down because at one point I looked across and I could see the speed he was going. He was going like 10 to 15 seconds per 500 meters faster than me. So I was like, he's going to gain 20 seconds on me on this. But then we came out and there was probably only like 7 seconds, 8 seconds, I reckon, something like that between you, which feels like quite a lot at the time when they're leaving and they're out running, and you're on there for about another 7 or 8 seconds. So he must have blown towards that. Then I caught him on the run, and then like I caught him probably with about 100 meters, 150 meters to go, and then kind of just like sat on him and waiting because I thought we'll go
But
into the sled push
so
together.
when you're, for example, in it, so you're doing, for example, another K at 3:30 K pace, and you're coming into the ski erg, it's still like a bit of a cardio workout and not really strength based. But can you give your legs a rest for the run whilst you're doing the skier? Because the skier is more like with your arms, isn't it? I mean, you're still
Yeah, you
cardiovascularly
could.
keeping the heart
But
rate up.
like, so
But
if I was fit,
does it feel like a different workout because you're doing like working the
yeah, it
body?
feels different. Like you can feel your upper body loads, but the thing is, my upper body was like not conditioned at all for it, so I couldn't go that hard because I knew I'd be fucked for the sled push pull. And I think that's what happened to me last time. I went too hard on the ski egg, like treating them all individually, the stations, and then when I got to the sled pull, my grip strength was already fatigued, and I could barely pull the flipping sled. So I was like this time thinking I just want to make it through the sled pull before I start upping it because like you can lose so much time. Like I lost like 10 minutes on that last time. So do you know what I mean? Like you can run 10 seconds quicker, but if you lose 10 minutes, like on an exercise, it doesn't really matter.
So you would say that's the thing I've been hearing loads. Like you need to improve your grip strength loads. What is that? Like marathon wank training? What is it? Is it
Yeah,
how do you train it?
basically just spend a night on Pornhub, mate, and you'll probably be good to go.
Because it's endurance and powerful.
Yeah, that'll be a real endurance test for you. Chris XXX
you,
will probably
you
have
guys,
good tips.
you guys have such bad barstool humor in the podcast.
Your, your right arm's got the grip strength of a flipping like army major, and your left hand's got the grip strength of like someone I
Yeah, but
don't know.
you could do the ski erg with one hand then.
Yeah, yeah, pull the ski erg with your right arm and keep your left arm out the way. It will let you down. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, like, yeah, you've just got to do. Apparently, deadlifts can do it, but I haven't done any specific training for it. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's probably ways you just have to Google it and see what improves it. But like, if you were going to train properly, but for some reason, I'm really good at the sled push, and I don't even know why because I've like literally never even done one. Like, apart from before the last time when I did it, I did a few training sessions in the week before. This time didn't do any, but I could have probably improved quite a bit just from like knowing exactly how I was going to hold it. But even without that, I'm like pretty decent at that, and I think that's just cycling. Like I think all the like cycling that you do just gets your quads and hamstrings so strong that you find it like really like good.
Dude, yeah, but it's not like you're. I mean, yes, you can say you haven't been doing any training specifically, but you're like one of the best in the world in one of the toughest endurance sporting events. So
Yeah, but
you're
that
you're
like
like a fucking bull, mate. Like your legs.
yeah,
So
for the running and stuff like that, it's all good, well and good. But the exercises are so specific that it doesn't really mean shit when you get onto them.
yeah, for
Like when
some
you
of
get
them
onto,
maybe, for some of them, but I can also see that for some of them it would also maybe surprisingly translate very well. For you
yeah, but would
being
you have thought a sled push would have translated well? Like that was not
yeah,
one I would have
because
thought.
in the end it's like pushing power which comes from your legs. You're not deriving from it from your upper body. You're just putting your upper body against it and then putting power from your legs.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have thought it would have been. You would have found it so good. The sled pull doesn't help at all. Like
And then it's totally different from a sled pull.
but I used my heart rate monitor for it, so I could see how hard my heart rate was, and it was basically it averaged 151, so not that high for me for something like that. Um, but I was running like within myself. But then I thought like on the stations, if I'd have gone like really hard on one of them and pushed it like harder, like I could have, like aerobically, I think I just haven't got the muscle, like the muscular endurance. So my muscles would have just fatigued so much, like probably before, even maybe even before the end of that station, because they go on for quite a while. So
Hmm.
I feel like if I'd done some specific training, or I did do some specific training and got my muscles a lot stronger, I'd then be able to like push each station a lot harder as well without the fatigue. And I think that's something that you could definitely would make a big difference. Just being able to maximize each exercise without having to worry that you're going to be screwed for the next one.
Is it mandatory if you raise one of these to take your shirt off?
Um, yeah, pretty much. Like everyone does, mate. Everyone does. It's crazy. In triathlon, they get all funny about that, don't they? And
Dude,
you get that.
nuts.
But in like high rocks, like no one wears a shirt. Like I don't know why, but
I
you
know
just got
why.
why.
Because High Rocks, they're all people coming from CrossFit, and they're all double alphas, mate. It's a double alpha world.
Do you think that's what they're like? Do you think that's what they're like?
We're like a different category, you know. We're triathletes. We like we shit on ourselves. We like wear very tight clothing and lycra and
My mate takes the
CrossFit
piss
and
out of it because he reckons it's a big posing competition because they're all walking around with their tops off and stuff.
it's all a very big bunch of testosterone indoor event. And also, I think there's a shitload of drugs in being used in
Oh,
that
100%.
competition.
Yeah, I
Like,
reckon
oh
they're like
my
probably,
god, mate! I think
mate,
it's
they're
scary.
like,
You
they're
can
like properly
smell the
built
EP. You can smell the growth hormone in the indoor station.
steroids. I could smell the steroids, mate. Like I from just like when I entered the Excel build, and I was like, "What's that?" Like it smells like a
What is
Mexican
that
pharmacy.
smell?
It's like a Mexican pharmacy in here.
You can literally see people injecting shit before they're starting to run.
Oh no, it's not that bad.
No, is it not?
I don't know.
It's
It's not bad. Like I'm gonna have the drug testers come round now. They're gonna be like, "He's been mixing with a different crowd now. We need to test him."
yeah, but I've heard this. It's just rumors. I've heard it.
I
I've heard.
wouldn't be surprised because honestly, I don't even know if there is any drugs testing because not an Olympic sport, is it? And I think High
No,
Rock have to pay.
and I've heard that um, Colin Chartier, he's a part-time performance enhancing professor in some of the High Rocks events. Like he's looking into how can we perform up until like a max level.
Yeah, he's
Crazy.
got it. He's got it down to a T. But yeah, I reckon that is. But you said about like the tops off. Is that mandatory? I'll tell you what the equivalent is with the women. Like when they do like a team event, like because you do doubles competitions, and that's like quite big in that. It seems like it's pretty much mandatory for the women to always wear matching kit with their partner. Like I
Yeah.
found out when Laura did it last time, and I was like, "Shit, did I forget the memo here? Like, are you actually supposed?" I thought, "Shit, like maybe you're supposed to be wearing," because I entered Laura and like Steph, like her brother's partner into it, and I didn't look at any of the rules, and I thought when I first turned up, "Oh fuck off, they're not going to be allowed to take part. You probably have to be wearing matching kit here." And I didn't know.
So they know you're a team.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they know you're a team. Like maybe that's part of the rule. I actually thought shit. Like I didn't realize that, and then I found out it weren't. But that's what they all do. You know, they all want that Gymshark sponsorship, don't they? You know, that's what
Yeah.
everyone's aspiring to in that
Yeah.
Gymshark, My Protein, ESN.
Yeah.
Is it? Is
Yeah.
that what it's called? Like something like that. You know, the nutrition company, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get on the protein shakes. You know, like and the equivalent of
And
a finisher's t-shirt is a built for athletes backpack. And
do,
when you finish, you get like a little thing that you can stitch onto your backpack, and that's when you know they're a
we
serious baller.
can we can bust the first bullshitter. So, and this is mainly with regards to these athletes. So
And
the
hold on, before we
majority,
go on to one thing, I just want to say something. You thought the toilet smelled bad at a running race, mate. You imagine some like protein fueled meatheads at a High Rocks event with limited toilets. Oh, mate, that will blow you away.
yeah, was it bad?
Oh, mate, you think these are twice the size of runners, aren't they? Like they're
Yeah.
like 8, 90, 100 kilos. Runners are about 50 kilos. So basically, you get 50 people there. It's the equivalent of 100, bunged up on whey protein. God, mate, like that will get the wind up your chest. Trust me.
Oh, I would almost wear a diaper. But anyway, I was gonna say sometimes I see stuff coming through like training advice or like nutrition advice. And the majority of these people, they're the kind of guys that promote the affiliate links. And it was we were talking about electrolytes, and they're making all these videos like before the workout, I'm drinking like an electrolyte tab with a drink, and after I'm taking the electrolytes, during I can advise this with the electrolytes, get 10% off. And at some point, I was like, how many flipping electrolytes are you taking? Like, if you're only working out an hour, like if you've got a very intense session, fair enough. But if you're doing a 30-minute easy run, no flipping electrolytes.
Is
If
that
you're
what they were
doing
doing?
this,
They were taking it all for like an electrolyte for
mate, for like
electrolyte.
every thought that they're taking or they're taking electrolytes, and I'm thinking if it's if you're in the winter in the UK and you're doing like an easy run or an easy swim or whatever, you don't need to take flipping extra electrolytes. Like nowadays, 10 years ago, nobody took electrolytes, or maybe even 3 years ago, no one took electrolytes. And now everyone's taking electrolytes for every damn fight. You know, you can
That's
see
why
that.
all the records are falling everywhere, mate. It's the electrolyte tablets.
Is
They're
it?
they're,
Is
they're
it? Is it? But what do you think of that? What do you think of that?
yeah, like I always find like them people, like them kind of like ambassadory people, they would like they'll sell anything for an affiliate link, wouldn't they? That's what
Yeah,
I
but I
think. Like,
think, but also with regards to the advice, and this is what you see a lot nowadays. You see a lot of um, uh, um, influencerish people that give advice on training that have been in the sport maybe 2 3 months, but have it's there's and
thing
they've
is,
got a massive following.
influencers, yeah, they just have a massive following, but they've got no knowledge on it. They've never, most of them don't even train that hard compared to a professional athlete. Compared to a normal person, they might do a little bit of training, but the only way they make money because like they've not got their performances to worry about is purely from taking on sponsorship deals with companies that will just give them some affiliate links to make some cash. So they have to oversell stuff, don't they?
Yeah,
Because
but
their
it
performance doesn't matter.
it really pisses me off when they do something crazy, make a video about that, and then it's like, hey everyone, I get loads of questions about how I did this untrained 80-kilometer run. So I started off with 15 liters of electrolyte drinks, and then I did this and I did that, and I'm thinking like the majority of what they're given is actually a bad example and bad advice. And I feel bad for the people who are looking up to it and thinking like, oh, so this is the way to go. The reason why I'm feeling really weak in the morning is because I need to take on more electrolytes. I'm depleted probably. That's what
I mean,
pisses me off.
to be honest, I would never take anything what an influencer says as like something that's going to help me. Like it would have literally
Yeah,
zero.
but
It
the thing
would
is,
have a lot of influence on me because I'd think I'm deliberately not going to do that because I know that person's just doing it for money, and I would actually look to see what a proper athlete's doing
yeah,
because
but
they rely on it, don't
there's
they?
a big difference that you, for example, or a Janice Frodeno wouldn't show in detail what you're doing for a race, what you're doing taken before a race, what you're taking during a race, what you're taking during training, nutrition wise, for example. Whereas an influencer shares everything. Then, second of all, you're not taking their advice because you know better. But now picture yourself as, I don't know, a house dad, house mom, or like a student that wants to get into sports and has got no clue. And you can see someone is doing an untrained marathon or whatever, and thinking like, oh wow, how did he do that? Oh, it must be the electrolytes and that and that. Just and they're sucking up all the stupid advice because they don't
That's
know that it's stupid.
yeah, I yeah. So they basically tricking people that don't know better,
Yeah.
and you've seen a lot of them pushing electrolytes, like 10 electrolyte tablets a day in
Well, it sounds
minus
like
two, in
they're
like
eating
three
away.
degrees. It's 3 degrees in rain. They're literally not even able to sweat because it's too cold, but they're literally stocking up on sodium. Like they're like, probably like bloated like the pregnant lady.
Anyway, did you want to say something about your little hierarchy?
Well, a lot of people say, don't they? Like that, it does get a bad misconception, I would say, with people saying that, but it's for people that are crap runners or crap gym lifters. Like that's what they say, don't they? Like, oh, if you're a rubbish gym lifter and you can't run, then go and do a high rocks because, like, if you're a decent runner, you just do running races, and if you're a decent weightlifter, you do weightlifting. But I think like that is so untrue. Like the top guys, when you actually do the event and you see what kind of time you do, and then how fit you'd have to be to do some of the times that the top guys do, it is mega impressive. Like they're like 90 kilo guys, and they were probably running like 320s for each K, maybe yeah, probably 320s for each K. But it's like you're not hitting them Ks fresh because they're doing the sled push and they're pushing like 200 kilos, and they're flipping flying around that and then getting straight out and then running like a 320. Then they're going on a pull, pulling 150 kilos. I mean, you're doing like 80 meters of burpee broad jumps, which is like very that was what got my heart rate the highest out of the whole thing. And then straight off you go into a K, 320, come into a rowing machine, you're running rowing 140s to 145s per K, like probably the top guys around 140 to 140 to 145, and then they're going out and running the K straight off 320. It's not like all these individual things that they do don't seem that hard if you look just doing like one of the things in isolation at that intensity.
Yeah.
But doing back to back is like mega impressive. Like, and then my wall balls, I just flipping died, mate. Oh, that was grim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had DOMs like for
Where
literally,
do you, where can you feel it during the wall balls?
I don't know, like it's weird. Like it just feels fucking hard. Like I don't even know
Where
where.
where does it feel hard? Is it like in
I
the
don't know, mate.
shoulders? Is it in the legs?
Oh, just everywhere, just everywhere. Like it just feels hard, mate. Like you're trying to catch this fucking ball that keeps dropping on you. It feels like a punch in the gut every time for me because my technique's shocking. So it felt like it was like punching me. It was like someone just like going boom like that, and then you like my hands were slipping off the ball because I was like covered. You've seen how much I sweat. I sweat
But
shitloads, don't I? So my sweat was covered on the ball, so I could barely hold it. Then you have to try and go through to a squat, and I was all over the place, and then like I was trying to hold the ball while I was going down for a squat, so I was holding it badly. Then you're trying to throw it up, and because my technique was bad, every time I tried to throw it, felt like a really hard throw to try and get the 3 meters. And the most depressing thing is you throw it up and it doesn't touch the target, and you've got a non-counting wall ball, and you're like, oh man, I had 100 of these to do, and that one just didn't even come off the target that I had to do. Like, so I've still got to do more.
I think that with the wall ball, you need rhythm, and yeah, you need rhythm. You can just see him like squat and boom, squat
Yeah,
and
but
boom.
you've also but there's they make it look so easy because they're catching it in the right place as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
And
So you
also
need that rhythm.
but you're totally gassed when you get there. So like even when you've been holding back and pacing it, that rhythm is hard to get because you're like on your fucking knees, mate. It's like somewhat you doing a run, like a threshold effort. You getting towards the end of a half marathon and with 2Ks to go, and then someone giving you a 6 kilo even or a 9 kilo wall ball and saying, right, you've got to do 100 squats now and then throw it at a 3 meter target. Like literally at that point in the like, imagine you get to that 15K run that you did, and
Yeah.
then 5 minutes before the end, someone's stopping you and getting you to throw a wall ball 100 times. Bearing in mind, you haven't even used your upper body then. So imagine you've used your upper body like for me doing the kettlebells, and I could barely hold the kettlebell thing, mate. And I'm like, so my
Even
arms,
with the open ones.
even with the open ones, like my grip strength struggles to hold it, mate. I had to stop twice on that or 3 times.
How come your grip strength is so bad?
Well, it's not necessarily bad. It's that you haven't done it, mate. Like, like you do it like by yourself, and it's easy. Like I could do the 32 kilo one by yourself, and it gives you a false sense of security. But doing it in the race, mate, all I'm saying is it's like a triathlon, and people like think that they can hold X amount of pace because they do a tempo run in training. Get them in get them in a triathlon after having rode hard and swam hard, and then trying to run. They never run that pace, do they? And
No.
that's what it's like, like it's just the back to back effect of it, mate. It's just like it definitely is harder than what it seems. Like, and I've seen loads of videos since then on like YouTube. Like, once since I've been on like Zwift and stuff like that, like in my algorithm on YouTube now, it's had like loads of these like people that are training for high rocks, and it seems like every single one had ambitions of going a lot faster than what they actually did in the race. And even after their simulations, thought they were going to break an hour or do this, and they all ended up like 5 to 10 minutes slower than what they were expecting. Like one guy thought he was going to break the world record, and then missed it by 13 minutes.
13 minutes. What
I
the
did a
fuck?
video
Yes,
saying I'm going to break the world
come
record.
on.
He was,
I
and
think
he was
that's
training for it, man. He was training for it as well. He did a simulation and said he was going to
yeah,
break the
but
world.
get the hell out of here. That's so flippin' deluded. That's like
The age group
what's
world
that
record.
guy?
He
It's
was
like
talking about.
that Matty Weiss that was like, all right, I'm swimming 109, so I'm probably swimming front pack. I'm riding 400 watts for effort, so I can probably ride with Mathieu van der Poel, and I'm running this. So, but then putting it together in a race, he didn't even come in like the top 15. So at some of the races.
Yeah,
So
to do a YouTube video saying you're going to break the world record is definitely you're putting it out there, aren't you? And he even was training for it because I watched a few of his videos. I binged them the other day, and he was like doing the proper training. I want to see you do it, and I want to see you do that one in like 2 weeks' time that you said just off the cuff, doing an open one and
pro
seeing how you.
triathlete turns high roxer.
Yeah, I mean, you might surprise yourself. Imagine if you did it and you surprised yourself and you actually set an awesome time.
Yeah, like 49 minutes. Who the hell is this guy? They call him the mozzarella.
Had like at one point I was like threatening getting on the podium like from my age group because like you can live track while you're there, so like people were live tracking me, like my friends who were there, and they're like on the get to the last run, they're like, if you push the last run fast you can make the podium. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could push the last run fast, but I know I'm going to be totally fucked anyway when I get to the wall balls. So like,
Do,
what am I going to do on that? And then I lost like 3.5 minutes compared to like
do you
most
know
people.
what would be the good thing though?
What?
Like the flippin' mozzarella could be racing anywhere in the world and not be needing suntan lotion.
Yeah, yeah. You're lucky at the moment. It's all
Shirts
indoors, isn't it?
off, mate. I've hardly ever been able to take my shirt off in occasions for like training sessions, whatever. Always when we've been training, it either had to be very early in the morning or it had to be like in Feb or
For,
March.
for your game plan for if you do a high rocks, I think you should go in with the same strategy as what I went in for my first one, and that is throw pacing out the window, just go full gas from the start like I did, and just see how long it takes until you get humble. Just think, fuck it, like that's what I did. I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna take the first run out hard. I'm gonna push the ski hard, and that's it. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going until I blow, and it didn't take long. I got to the sled pull, and it took me 14 minutes. I was first person into the sled pull. I thought when I was running, doing the K before the sled pull, this is my first one. I thought I'm going to win this event. This is fucking easy. Like, that's what I thought in my head. Like honestly, I thought, oh, this is easy. I'm fucking high rocks, man. I've completed it. Like I'm fucking smashing this. Got onto the sled pull, got that bit of tension out of the rope, started pulling it, and it was like that meme where it goes, "At this point, he knew he fucked up." And
you can then
I
you
tried to
can
pull it,
then
mate, and it didn't fucking move. And I thought, oh no, like my heart just dropped, and I thought, I don't even think I can do this. Like I don't even think I can move this fucking thing 50 meters, and it was so depressing. I was first in there out of my whole wave, and there's probably about 30 people in a wave, and I was last person to leave. Every single person overtook me in that wave. It was depressing, man. And then I thought at that point I was like, oh man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete this event. Like, and I went from like thinking I was going to win it easy to suddenly, oh shit, I'm going to be fucked when we get to the
I'm
kettlebells.
in a world of shit.
Yeah, I just thought
Yeah,
kettlebells.
I'm curious to see what it's like, and also yeah, with regards like what I've said before, like we had a chat this week. For me, I just don't know what my season is going to be like next year. There's a lot of uncertainty, so yeah, I might be mixing it up with some different things, and yeah, taking a step back maybe from triathlon.
What
But yeah.
about if you do race triathlon? Will it be in the pros or will it be in the age groupers? What's the deal with that? Like, are you coming to USAT with me? Vent a bit of the frustration, like what the Dutch have said. Like USAT has welcomed you with open arms. There's me. There'll be John Felwell. There
I
could be
don't.
you.
Well, I for myself have had set a point that I might be that I'm gonna stop triathlon as like racing in a professional field next year. So I had this in mind. So next
You're
year,
going to clean up the age group race, aren't you? Fuck those age
because
groupers. You're going to work full time and show them. They've been
no,
working
it's
a week. They get to the start line, they're just drained because they've had to do overtime. And Tom's there fresh as daisy. All right, boys, let's see what you've got.
so you're working 80 hours a week. You've got a family and kids. Here am I, all dressed up, full time triathlete. Now, I want to take a step back from training. I'm not. I've said it multiple times in the podcast. I'm not a professional like you or a Janice or a Daniela Reef. So and I've had fun. I've tried it, but I'm not good enough to be in it to win it or to be in the mix. And also, I just don't have what it takes to fully commit and see if I can be in the mix. And yes, if I'm on a good day, I can do a decent time. Look at Almere, 55-minute swim. Or what is it? 4:12 on the bike, and I could, if you look at all the marathons I've done in an Ironman over the last 4 years, 5 years, I've always run 3 hours or under. So that could have been potentially a really good Ironman, 8 hours and 10 minutes, 8 hours 5 minutes, 8 hours 15. But it
But
is
you
just
want to go sub 8, don't you, this year? Is that still the.
exactly. So the goal for me next year is to do one Ironman sub 8. But to be doing that in a pro field or age group field, that doesn't really matter to me. I would ideally want to race in the pro field, but the question is whether I'm able to race in the pro field because I haven't done much racing this year, and also not the year before it because I had a lot of shite last year. And then we've given out a pro license. It is for an age grouper really easy or relatively easy to qualify for a pro license, but it's just hard to maintain a pro license. Um, because now you need to be within 4% of the winner. And there's another a couple of additional.
It depends what country though. If you're in America like me in USAT, they give it to everyone. Like it doesn't even matter. It's just
But they
like
changed it in the Netherlands. They just changed it. They changed it now. It was relatively easy because there have been pros over the last couple of years that had a pro license for years that didn't really perform. And in the end, I can see a reason why. I mean, I am with a couple of other athletes actually in the gray area. You know, if I'm racing as an age grouper and you're doing, for example, 8 hours and 5 minutes, or you're doing a really fast course, which I've never done in my life, and potentially go sub 8, then people will be like, "What the fuck are you doing in an age group field? You go in sub 8, you're almost doing it full time." Blah blah blah. And yes, I mean I totally agree with these age groupers that have like a job and a family, that these athletes are taking it too seriously, like going sub 8 as an age grouper. But then in the pro field, you're like, where the flipping hell are you? You're like 30 minutes back from the winner of the race. So you're coming in maybe 12th or 13th, but it's not paying the bills. It's not paying anything. And,
costing you money to go to events, isn't it?
it is costing money. Yeah, definitely.
I
So,
want to see you. I want to see you as the age group slayer. Like I think we should even get that
and,
on your
but,
on your
but,
kit as well.
but enjoyment wise, for me, racing probably in an age group field is going to give me more fun, and it's not because I'm.
You'd be in proper races at the front, won't you?
Yeah, because it's not because I'm annihilating 98%. It's because I'm racing. I'm actually in the mix with a couple of other age groupers that I'm racing head to head for maybe a win, you know. And in the pro field, it's basically from the gun. I'm off the back, or like I'm not really off the back, but like in the middle, and I'm just racing with the middle pack, and it's just less exciting. It's that thing in combination with maybe yes, I'm getting some sponsor money, but not a lot. So. Uh, um, is it all worth it to travel the world far for races coming in 12 like 5 times a year? I don't know. So I better also, in combination with the business I'm setting up, it's a good time to like do a step back and focus on other things. And I also think that's cool that you have the time to maybe do high rocks, focus on a marathon, then maybe later on in the season, not maybe on later on in the season, focus on that sub 8, but just targeting different events.
So, guys, we're now rebranding it. It's actually High Rocks Mockery now. And
It's not High Rocks Mockery. We're calling it Hybrid Mockery. It's a new
Hybrid
podcast.
Mockery.
We're going to reach out to a bigger audience. I'm going to focus on the hybrid stuff. Joe's going to be focused on the triathlon stuff.
I really just want to see you do a High Rocks because I just want to know how hard you find it, being as badly prepared as what I am going into it. That's why I want to see you do that one in 2 weeks because I want to know,
Completely sold out.
am I just shit at this sport, or is this just how hard it feels if you're underprepared at it?
Everyone, this is if there is anyone listening to this podcast and has had or knows anyone with a ticket to High Rocks Frankfurt, shoot me a message because I want to take Joe up on this. If I can do Frankfurt, but I ideally want to do one prepared in Feb next year.
I want to see you do one in 2 weeks
for the benchmark.
You train for it in February, and it's not fair because I didn't train for it. I want to see you suffer through and see what it's like.
To set a benchmark.
Yeah, I want to see a benchmark of like a trained triathlete doing high rocks, untrained for high rocks. Like in February, you'll be trained for it and you'll smash it. Whereas I want to see you suffer through like I did and just and see what you found thought of it. But I really I might even go and find a high rocks entry for Frankfurt for you, so you end up doing it.
It is. Joe, it is important in the end to enjoy what you're doing and to have fun what you're doing. And I absolutely love triathlon, and I always keep doing it, and I will always keep doing the podcast with you because it just gives me a load of enjoyment. But I also think for me, I would be having better stories and more stories and bring more inspiration to the world if I would focus on different things as well.
Could we be seeing you take part in Ultra Trail Mont Blanc? Maybe not the full one, but one of them, or some kind of grim trail race.
I would like to do one. Do you know, like a grim trail race, but not one of them that has 40 kilometers and 8,000 meters
something like that. Something horrific, like just something horrific, just like as a challenge. Like,
I would like to do to pick up the vlogging a bit more, and then do like like an 80K run, but maybe with 2K elevation or 3K, like not like 6K elevation, because that's more like a hike, isn't it?
oh yeah, yeah, you want to do something that you can run it, but just something a bit grim that you wouldn't really want
But
to
I
do.
know, I know you would like to do it too, but you're just too fist deep in the professional stuff. You know, it's just
No,
it's
I would.
really.
If I was not racing as a professional, I would be. I would do some grim trail races and something like that, and some different things. Like I think it looks quite. It seems quite fun. Like mixing it up a bit.
Yeah, yeah, and it
I'd
just
be
brings
like
better
influencer,
stories.
and I could start like pushing my electrolyte tabs. We all know I'm on it 5 tablets a day.
And
So if you want to buy a tablet, use the code skip a 10 for your 10% discount.
and can you imagine the next time you go into a birthday party? It won't be like, "Hey Joe, how's triathlon going?" It will be, "Yo Joe, what's the next endurance event? What are you doing? Is it a trail run? Is it
Hey
an
Joe,
ocean swim?
what
Is it a high
electrolyte
rocks?
tablets are you taking nowadays?
How many electrolyte tabs? What are you
Oh
doing?"
yeah. Have I told you about the whey protein I'm taking? I take 3 scoops a day, man.
3 scoops and my farts gotten even stinkier.
Yeah, like if you need the toilet, I would suggest you go before me because these 3 scoops of whey really don't agree with me.
Protein shake says no.
Hey man, have I told you I've got a grip strength of 70 newtons?
Holy shit. Can I feel that?
Yeah, I'll be shaking hands with people and I'll be crushing hands, won't I? I'll be like,
It's not a proper handshake until
yeah,
you can hear bones cracking.
yeah. Now I shake people's hands and they're like, "Is that a fucking woman?"
Or you give it a handshake, and you can see their faces turning a bit, and then you tell them like, "I've got a grip strength of 79. I'm a high rocks athlete."
I'm
Alrighty,
training.
shall we go over to the main subject of the week, Joe?
Yeah, what is the main subject of the week? I've actually
All
forgotten it
right,
all.
so we're going to answer the majority of these questions from an age group standpoint, so from my standpoint of view. I'm going to ask you the questions, and then we can discuss it. Do you think technology in triathlon is making it more about money rather than athletic ability?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's so much technology now. What people are trying to push out, like we've seen some of them, haven't we, as well? Which come and went. Which the glucose sensors, with the fancy platform. What was it called? Super Sapiens. That was
Mhm.
all about the technology, wasn't it? But it wasn't
Yeah.
really in performance. If it was that, and it was also like way too expensive for what it was. And there was cheaper versions what people could do if they wanted to monitor their glucose levels that were out
Also,
there.
what do you think of? So, for example, I mean, everyone can always buy whatever they want, especially if they have the money. I mean, it's your own money. You've worked hard for it, and you can decide yourself what you want to do with it. So, if you're 100 kilos and you want to ride a 6 kg titanium road bike, go ahead. I don't think anything of it. This is
Oh, I
just for the
think.
people that wanna like save money, but think it is important to have it to be faster, right?
But I do think a nice bike does feel amazing to ride. So I
It
would
does,
definitely say that's all.
100%.
I would say technology wise, the only technology you need to race to your and to train really really well in triathlon is a heart rate monitor and a power meter on the bike, like and a heart rate monitor for like biking and run training.
Yeah.
That's pretty much and a Garmin so you can like record your data. That's basically like the only technology I think you need.
Anyway, all right. Do you think age group triathletes are taking themselves too seriously for what is essentially a hobby?
Oh, 100%, definitely. A lot of age groupers do, don't they? Like they're obsessed with like getting in a lot of training, um, and also buying all the latest gadget, not necessarily gadgets, but like just all the latest things, and like spending loads on a coach and just being like really, really like 110%, but a bit too much because it's like if they missed the odd session here or there, or not missed it, but like if they didn't train as hard, they'd probably actually be better because they'd be more laid back. I think some of them really go OTT because at the end of the day, like you say, it's a hobby. It's like they're not getting any money from it, but I think they just put pressure on themselves to do it. And I actually think that they enjoy it less than what they would if they didn't have all this pressure on themselves. And that's why I think some of them, you see, they have a coach and they go 110%, but then 2 years later they say, "Oh, I'm taking a bit of time off from triathlon." I think they actually like the sport, they like the training, but they're just mentally fried from like trying to juggle
Yeah.
all these different things, like working a 9 till 5, family, wife,
That's
training.
the thing. They at some point go in fist deep. I mean, I think one of the best things an age group athlete can do is hiring a coach, because you get that feeling of, am I doing enough? Am I doing hard enough? Am I doing this and that? That will be taken away with the coach. But then what you're doing in your free time, for example, having a meal with your friends and saying yes or no to a glass of beer or a glass of wine if you want to, those are the decisions that a lot of the age group triathletes find really hard. Also, nutrition wise, can they eat something unhealthy for a change?
But
Um,
what about, how do the age groupers that have got a family, a full time job, train 20 hours a week? I mean, that is
yeah, but
pretty nuts.
the
I mean,
triathletes that I know that do that, I know 100% for sure that either their relationship with their kids, wife, or with their work, one of them needs to suffer.
yeah,
Because I
100%.
mean, it has to,
Three
because
hours a day. It's
mm,
3 hours a day on average. You've got to
exactly
find.
3 hours a day on average. Essentially, if you're an age grouper and you're training already 12 hours a week besides the job, I mean, that's what you need to train minimum, between 8 and 12, 13 hours for an Ironman. So we're talking Ironmans right now, not a sprint distance. But that is basically what you need. But 13 hours is almost the max, especially in the winter, when it's dark. And but if you're training more than that, then it's definitely going to cost your time with the family or work hours.
I think that's why a lot of people like marathon running, don't they, and stuff, because
Yeah.
you could run 80 miles a week, which is absolutely loads, and it's only going to be 9 to 10 hours a week of running.
The
Like,
the
and that's
amount of the amount of times that I've met an age grouper or spoken to an age grouper, where after they went into a sport a bit more seriously, their relationship ended is nuts.
really
Yeah.
what you've had a lot of conversations with people that have taken triathlon more seriously, and then it's like ended up resulting in them losing a relationship from it.
Yeah, yeah, because they weren't able to invest the time and interest in. I mean, the misses of them, they would like to also have time in the weekend, but then in the beginning they would find it all right if you go on a long ride and on a run. But then at some point they don't want to go out for dinner because it's unhealthy. They don't want to drink a bottle of wine
I mean,
anymore because
a lot of them that serious though, where they wouldn't go out for dinner or wouldn't have like an alcoholic drink.
maybe they would go out for dinner, but then it can't be unhealthy, or they wouldn't go out for a
Really?
drink. They wouldn't join for a party. No, I can't. I can't. I need to be early up tomorrow. It's like a long session, and then throughout the week they're training twice a day, so they're going out really early in the morning. Always that flipping alarm, and then they're coming home having quick dinner, and then they need to do another training session. Like that is gonna cost you some serious damage on your relationship, mate.
I remember having a couple of beers before I won Challenge Almere back in 2017. My first pro win. Like, I think it must have relaxed me or something. That's your neck of the woods, that is, isn't it?
Yeah.
As
Nah,
well.
man, not neck of the woods, but I.
You're close. Like, it must. I slept like a baby after that. Good job I didn't have heart rate variability back then, because if I'd looked at that, it would have probably fell off a cliff. But I felt all right.
Yeah. So in essence, you're saying the majority, and can you give a tip how they can relax a little bit more?
I normally, like, if I'm going to have a drink or something like that,
No, no, I'm
I'll
not talking about alcohol. I'm just talking about taking the sport too serious. Whether you should see it as a hobby, because the hard thing is, Ironman is a really it demands a lot of your body if you want to do it right. So the people who are doing an Ironman are pretty ambitious. Otherwise, you would have done a sprint triathlon or Olympic distance. So the people that are doing Ironmans are ambitious and like very yeah, let's say ambitious. So it's really hard to be ambitious, but then also take time for other stuff.
it's hard to say to people like to how they can be less serious, because it's almost like it's ingrained in you, isn't it? It's like, if some people, if they do something, you want to do it 110%,
Exactly.
and doing something less than what you know you could is mega hard to accept, isn't it? It's almost like you need
Exactly.
to accept, like, I've got so many different things going on that I can't be 110% in all of them, unless something's going to massively suffer. So it's hard. I mean, I don't know what the answer is to that. It's almost like you need to speak to someone, wouldn't you? Because it's more like you feel you really want to do well, and it's not the fact that and you don't realize how much other stuff's suffering, do you? Until you like lose it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then you look back and you're like, oh shit, like maybe I was a bit too obsessed with that. But in the
And
moment,
also, and it's unexperienced in probably what can you still do and still perform well.
yeah, that's I guess that's what you need to know is like what how much extra performance are you getting from pushing the boundaries and pushing everything like that? Maybe it might end up being worse because you end up being more tired and more stressed. So, but like, how much are you losing if you train less? I mean, like, what is the how much are you giving up? I mean, maybe they just need to try a
And
build up where they do a bit less and just see.
this is the thing about professional sports that make it extra hard. You actually need to give almost everything up, and that is something that that I find the hardest thing to deal with. Like after a couple of years, and then I've only done it a few years, but I like the distraction too much to be a real professional, as in fully 100% committed to the game. You know, because if you're going out for dinner, let's say with friends, and you need to do a long bike ride, but then something halfway the ride comes in between, you're getting a flat tire or whatever, you're gonna finish that 5 hour bike ride because that's what you need to do. Whereas I would be more like, shit, I need to cut it short because I'm lacking time, so I'll do 3 hours because of the flat tire. I'm taking, I wouldn't say shortcuts, but it's not shortcuts. It is. Um, it's not the first priorities, and sometimes in like first thing. So, for example, this weekend I'm going to Porto for Amy's 30th birthday, and then I would just do a couple of runs there, but I wouldn't go for a swim, and I wouldn't struggle with like not cycling there for like 4 or 5 days. And that's the hard thing, that you always need to make sacrifices, and that's not, there's like a 1 week, it's like 365 days. It is not 1 year, it is like 10 years of always making sacrifices, and that is the hard thing. And it comes a little bit into place with a age grouper, but for like a professional athlete, it's like always, right? That's
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's true. Like, you need to like as a professional, you couldn't just go away for like 4 or 5 days and stuff like that, and everything what you've said. Like, you need to be you're on it like all the time, aren't you? Really. So we've done that one off. Then that's that one.
yeah.
What's the next one?
Do
I've got
you
one
think?
for you. Let
Sorry.
Go on. And what's yours? And I've got one, and we'll pick
All
one
right.
of these two. Like, what's that one?
Do you think triathletes sacrifice the long-term health for short-term goals?
I've got the one what I've got as well, and we can pick what one we do. Is what do you think? What are your opinions on people that upload to Strava but hide power numbers and stuff like that, like all the metrics? Because I personally find that so fucking
That
sad.
it's super
It's
sad.
like
It's like
you're on an app which is made for sharing data, and then you hide the key metrics that people want to see. It's like, why are you even uploading anyway? You're so fucking sad to do
I
that. It's
think they
like,
should
don't
ban
upload.
those people.
Yeah,
Ban
I think
them, keep them off the app. This is not made for you. Apparently, you want to share big daddy stuff, but you don't want to share the juice. This is
yeah.
not for you. You're insecure.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Exactly what I think. You're too insecure about your own stuff, yet you want to try and get a following on Strava. It's like the whole point of Strava is to share your data. If you don't want to share your data, don't even bother going on the app. It's like it's just very insecure, and I find it so pathetic when people hide their like heart rate or power data. Like I think just don't even bother going on there.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sad. It's so
I mean,
sad.
just pace and distance doesn't say anything.
No, it's like, what's the point? Like, no one cares about that. It's like
Yeah,
it's like you might as well plot a route on Strava
yeah, but
and just show us and say
Joe,
this is the route
people,
I'm doing.
but then people will know my heart rate and will know what I will be doing in a race.
Yeah, that's what they're worried about, isn't it? But it's like when you're in the heat of the moment in a race, does anyone think, oh, I saw that so and so could only was doing his intervals at this? It's like you don't even know what power they're riding at in the race. You don't know if their power meters are under reading 20 watts, over reading 20 watts.
You
Like
don't
you've
you don't
literally no
even know if they've got a very high aerobic threshold.
No, exactly. And I find it fine if people like don't use Strava and don't want to share any data. My problem is with people that use Strava and then hide the key metrics that they know everyone wants to see. That is the problem. Like if you don't want to share any of your training, absolutely fine. not got a
Yeah.
problem. Or the people as well. These are pathetic people as well. They don't upload for ages, and then they get a comment and they upload one ride. Like they only run in like 4 months. It's like you are such a sad fuck. How you're uploading everything and you've got it on private. Like it's like they've uploaded it like it's a race. It's like if you're that bothered about getting a result on something, just go and do it in a proper race. Like uploading one ride in 4 months where you've obviously targeted this com is just so fucking pathetic. I think honestly, like that is like it really. I
In
just
the, in
can't
the
get my
end, in the end, I think Strava is there to motivate each other and like give an insight in what you're actually doing. It's
head around
like it's the same. You need to see it as for example Instagram, where you're sharing pictures, but then you're only sharing blurred pictures. That people are
yeah,
like,
I
I
mean,
can see you with maybe some family. I can't
but
recognize the people. What is
what
this?
what do these people think though when they upload a ride like where they've got a com and that's the only ride they've uploaded in 4 months? Do they think we're all going to be like, oh wow, you're amazing, like look at you go? Like it's like I can just see how well you're racing, and that's ultimately what matters, isn't it? Because like to upload this one ride, it's just like I mean I don't know, I just can't get my head around it. I just think it's so pathetic to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think anyone could persuade me otherwise. Like it's like you said, it's uploading a blurred
All right.
picture on Instagram.
What do you think about the next one then? Um, Uploading commutes on Strava.
Fine, I don't have a problem with that.
No?
I don't have a problem if people want to upload a walk if they don't want to. If they want to upload a commute or anything. My problem with Strava is just people that do that. What I've
Yeah,
said,
I
like
think
that.
I think
When you say commute though, but if some people are commuting like 10 miles, I mean, surely that's worthy of
well,
an upload
what's the threshold then to be able to upload it to like Strava? The threshold
for a
of distance.
cycle commute.
Yeah,
15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, because if you're doing that every day, it's like you're getting 45 minutes every day, then, aren't you? I mean, over the course of like 5 day week, you get an extra 4 hours.
Yeah, but do you need to spam that on Strava if you're riding on a commute bike?
I mean, I never really see people uploading stuff as a commute. You probably
I
do.
followed some people that uploaded a shitload of commutes, and it is diluting my Strava feed.
What, because you just see commute all the time. I never see
Commute,
it. That's why
commute,
I'm not my
commute,
problem.
walk to gym. So basically, what they're doing is they're walking to the gym, which might be like a K and a half. They're doing a gym session, walking back. So that's boom, free stuff, free sessions on Strava in the same range on
Oh
Strava.
right, yeah, that is like I would never commute, add a walk to the gym. I mean, like next will be at commute. I mean, next I'll be like adding like my drive to the gym or something like that, and getting my heart rate taken and all
or,
that stuff.
or recording your heart rate if you're taking a real hard dump, and then
Yeah,
putting that
yeah.
online. Like,
Some people upload saunas as well, don't they?
yeah.
Like, I
Um, shall we cover one more?
go on in one last one.
All right, I've got one more good question.
Yeah.
Do you think racing an Ironman is nowadays really about personal growth? Or has it about becoming a glorified social status symbol?
Oh God, that is a tough one, man. I think a mixture of both. Like a lot of people see other people that do it and they think, oh well, he's done Iron Man. I want to do one, and then they do one just so they can be like others. But also, if you before you do an Ironman, the distances do seem pretty crazy, and you do think to yourself, well, I wonder if I can do that. And then you see a lot of other people that have done it that you probably think you're as fit as, or certainly you could be as fit or fitter than. And you want to see whether or not you can do it, don't you? Because like I know before I did my first one, when I was thinking about the distances in training, I was like, flipping heck, it seems nuts. Like 112-mile ride. I mean, you do a 112-mile ride, and you're pretty knackered, aren't you, at the end? And let alone run a marathon. Like I'd never even run a marathon. So I think you do think, can I do it? And how would I do doing it? And it does lure you in because it just seems so crazy. But then once you do one, you kind of like, it's surprising how quick the day goes, isn't it? When you're in the heat of the
Mhm.
moment and you're actually there doing it. But I do think because I mean, I don't know whether or not it's much about a status symbol now because so many people have done one. Do
Well, yeah,
people
but I
care that much?
think it is a little bit also a status symbol because now picture yourself as a young professional working in, I don't know, some very competitive business. And nowadays, a marathon or half marathon is just not cool anymore. People do it untrained, taking 20 electrolyte taps. Um, it's cool if you do something even more extreme, and that is nowadays an Ironman.
does finishing an Ironman give you status, or is it doing
Yeah,
something fun?
because
Like
the
I would
dudes in
rather
the dudes in the office have got no clue. Wow, you did an Ironman. They won't be like, "Pfft, but you did it in 12 hours." That's not
you
really
just
fast,
think
man.
they're wowed by the scale of the event, not the achievement like the time. So, for instance, like I would say, if there was someone in the office who'd done a 2:15 marathon but hadn't done an Ironman, that would be more impressive to me than someone that
Yeah, but
completed
the
12
the
hours.
thing is, time 99% of the people that are like not into like sports, so that's the
Have
majority
no
in the world,
concept.
they've got no clue about time. So if you tell them, yeah, I've done a marathon, they know under three is fast. But if you're doing an Ironman, if you would tell them, yeah, I did an Ironman, all right, they would hardly ever ask, what time did you do? It's more like, I did an Ironman. What's that? It's a 3.8k swim, 180k bike, and a full marathon. They'd be like, oh, you're crazy, dude.
They do say that. That is what people say, don't they? They do
They
say, "Oh,
wouldn't
man."
say something like, "What time did you do?" 13 hours. Oof. I know people that do it in under 13. Like,
Imagine if they did that and your plan completely backfired, and you did that. They were like, "Ooh, like that." Like, oh, you should have stuck to
13
the
hours? Did you take a picnic halfway? They won't say that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine. Could you imagine if they did say that? If their face just went like that, like they just
Ooh.
that was all they said, like, like, and you're
Oof.
like,
That
oh
must
man,
have been 13 hours. Oof. Must have been a rough day.
I thought I was going to get some respect from this, and now I've actually backfired, and they think I'm just a slow Ironman athlete.
No, they don't ever ask about time. So I do think it's become more of a status symbol rather than it's
Yeah.
about personal growth. Did you like that question? Do you want to have one more?
No, we'll call it a day there. We're on an hour anyway, aren't we?
All right, all right. We still have the Instagram post of the week about the anaconda.
Oh, yes. Let me quickly go on that. So there was a picture which Katie Hopkins posted up, and that is, or
Who
should I
is
say, a
Katie
video.
Hopkins?
She won The Apprentice. Do you have The Apprentice in Holland, where like
What the
these
hell?
people
The
like they
friend.
do these challenges to try and get like a director's job or a high flying job in a company, and it was Alan Sugar was doing it. This was years ago. She won it, but now she's kind of like looked down on and frowned upon because she's massively anti woke and says all the stuff. So she's really against like women taking part, for instance, in like men taking part in women's sport, like when they're trying to identify something, I don't know, all that like bollocks that goes on. She's really against that. But anyway, somehow she came across a video of Patrick Lang finishing the race. And when you see him finishing, he does look like he's got a massive cock, doesn't he? Like you can just
So
see it.
basically, this is a video of Patrick Lang running on LA Drive towards the finish, and he's running in a very tight, very very tight.
He's just extremely happy to get to the end.
He's in a very tight tri suit, and he's extremely excited and happy that he's taking the win, and that is very visual. So for
And
everyone that's seen the World Championships, probably has seen this. For everyone that's not, you can visualize what it's like. He's like an anaconda.
And some people said that they put chafing stuff on their balls, and that's what makes it look a lot bigger because of all the chafing stuff they did. But one guy wasn't falling for that. This guy called
So this is
George.
this is basically first go into like the video. So this Kate Hopkins did a video about this, right? So she screen recorded Patrick Lang taking the title, and then she's looking at his schlong. This is basically what it's
Yeah,
about. And
and
now you're
she's mega
going.
impressed. She wants to go on a date with him. She's like, he could take me out any day, basically, and stuff like this. She's like on. She's like fully on for him. If Patrick wasn't married, she'd be like, come on, Patrick, me and you.
All right, and
But
then you're heading over to the comment section of this
and
video.
Georgie Garrett comments on it, and he's very disgruntled. Georgie Garrett is not too pleased with what he's just seen on this. And Georgie Garrett says, "I'm a ballet dancer and have been for many years professionally. We have a thing in our industry called dance belts, also known as jock straps. They keep all the dangly bits together and in place as we have to jump around and twist and turn in the air too. It looks much more composed than this. Nobody, and nobody is in capitals, wants to see your cock flapping about, mate. That's for after hours. Sort it out. Just like nobody would like to see in our industry on stage whilst performing, and again in capitals, in white tights. So if us ballet dancers can do it, there's no excuse for you runners. Just saying." Then he goes on to say, "What's with all this nonsense and justifications in the comment section for using lube to avoid chafing? It must be so annoying feeling it all flopping about. put a dance belt on, or even a cup, as they do in rugby. And at Katie Hopkins, I couldn't agree more. So yeah,
How many likes did that comment get?
none at the moment.
All right. So she's talking about a dance belt or like a rugby cup
Yeah,
for the
even
men's genitalia to like keep the eyes off the prize for spectators. What
exactly.
why do you think we're not wearing dancing belts during a triathlon?
Could you imagine how like putting a dancing belt in and swimming with it and stuff like that? I've never even seen one before, but I can't imagine. Like, I mean, it would just be crazy, wouldn't it, to put that on? Like,
But women are wearing bras, right? Are they wearing bras?
I think they wear sports bras, yeah, like real
Sports,
tight
but
one.
they're
Don't
doing a triathlon, right? They're
they? Yeah,
there. So why are they wearing bras and why are we not wearing a cup?
yeah, but that's just because they're comfort. They don't want to feel them bouncing around, do they?
But why don't
And
we want to
also
feel comfort?
stretching.
Why don't we want to feel comfort, Joe?
But it could stretch them, couldn't it? If it bounces down and down, and then it makes them like stretch.
Have you ever had one on? Mm. All right. So
Yeah,
basically, what you're saying is you're unable to run a under 240 marathon if you're wearing a cup or dancing
yeah.
belt.
If you're doing 13 hours, you might have time to put one on in transition, but like not if you're at the front, are you?
I don't even know what dancing belt looks like the dancing belt. I'm gonna Google it now. That looks right funny. Dancing belt. I reckon the chafing is going to be horrific wearing that.
Yeah. This guy reckons it'd be better as well.
That's the
Um,
whole thing. Like, if they're doing skating or dancing, then probably you're making like a couple of hip movements and like leg movements. Well, maybe you can count to 100 leg movements, but in a marathon standalone, you're making like 42,000 leg movements. So every leg movement is is a small chafing times 40,000. That's
hitting the
literally and vigorously nuts.
front.
Alrighty, mate. I'm gonna see you next week. Thanks for listening, everyone.
See ya.
See you. Bye bye.